Hi, y'all. Mike, Tammy, and Sparky here from Carving Out Time.
And we're going to talk to you today about 3 things we've learned since we started RVing.
The first thing that we've learned is that the kitchen is really only for one person at a time.
One thing I found out early is that I cannot cook breakfast at the same time that Tammy is in the kitchen. She can't fix anything at the same time I am in the kitchen. There's very limited space, so it's one person at a time, one thing at a time. There's not a lot of prep space for cooking things, so we have to kind of make space on the countertop and make space where we can to get things done.
And that means that we can't cook together.
Right.
Which really kind of stinks because sometimes he'll be doing prep while I'm doing stove or vice versa.
Most of the time you don't want me to cook anyway, let's be honest.
But you
It's
do
good to
help me
help.
with prep
Yes,
work
I do
sometimes.
help.
So, and we can't do that anymore.
And in the morning I usually cook eggs. I make my coffee, cook eggs, have scrambled eggs for breakfast, and she can't be in the kitchen at all when I'm in that area working. So.
Nope, I just stay in bed until he's done.
One other thing we've noticed is that the refrigerator is like playing Jenga or playing Tetris. It's a very small refrigerator. We really have to work with the space that's there to try and make things fit. We've got, if you pack it too tight, then the refrigerator will not cool. So you do have to leave some room between items in a lot of cases, just so that it will cool properly.
So I have to make sure everything's in there just right.
Our freezer, on the other hand, has remained fairly empty for the most part. We don't freeze a lot of things. We do have some ice. We put some ice cube trays in there, and we do keep a little bit of meat in there, but for the most part the freezer is unused.
Yeah, because we have to go to the store so often for the fridge that it just doesn't end up with a bunch of.
And we're not big ice cream people or freezer treat type people, so
that helps.
Yep. One thing we learned very quickly when we moved into the RV from a 2,000 square foot house is that some things had to change as far as where we kept things, the way things were organized, and the way that our daily routines run. For instance, 2 people cannot be in the bathroom at the same time. It's a very small bathroom. In the house, it was easy for 2 people to be in the bathroom at the same time. There was a big countertop. We had double sinks. Tammy had her sink, and then she had her other sink. Things like that.
Which means basically we could both brush our teeth at the same time.
So, but here in the RV, Tammy has her sink, and I get to share it occasionally when it's not in use.
You don't share. You use it on your time. I use it on my time.
Yes.
But the biggest thing for me has been there's no more lazy days. When we were still in the house, we called them don't get dressed days. That does not happen in the RV at all. Pretty much because we like to have the windows open. So I'm not going to have a don't get dressed day and then have windows open. That would just be weird.
Right. I will say it's nice that we haven't had to run the air conditioner for over 2 weeks now. And being people from Florida,
that's
if
really
you're from
cool.
Florida, you know what we're talking
sleeves.
about.
What?
That is a big deal to not have to run the air conditioner for 2 straight weeks. That does not happen in Florida ever. It really doesn't happen. So we're happy about that. Another thing we've realized is we really don't miss having the extra space that we had in the house. We've adapted to a tiny home on wheels pretty easily. It hasn't been super easy finding places to store everything, but once we get into a routine and get it down, it's not that big a deal. We don't miss having a huge house to clean, especially. Cleaning the RV takes just a few minutes. You can spot clean it and just do a little bit at a time if you want, but I've found it's just as easy to do the whole thing. I can vacuum the floor here in the RV. We've got a few carpets down on the floor. The floor is like luxury vinyl plank, but we've got a few carpets down. I can vacuum those carpets and have all the vacuuming done in the whole RV in 5 minutes or less. Same for if we run a Swiffer or something like that. It's pretty quick, but we really don't miss having the big space. Now there are different things on the RV that you have to take care of and you have to watch. Since we have a Class C, it is a vehicle. You do have to check the oil, the transmission fluid, the power steering fluid, the brake fluid, things like that, coolant. And I usually take care of all that stuff.
He cleans too. It's always been that way. He's always been the one who's...
Although we have found that on the outside, Tammy enjoys grilling more than I do. So when we grill meat, she's usually the one out there at the grill getting it done. I'm not the grill master. She is.
but that's not really saying much because I don't grill a whole lot. The only thing as far as space for me that's been an issue is I still haven't figured out where to paint, and kind of, I found places for all the paint supplies, but I have not found a place to be my studio area or my painting area. I haven't found a multi-purpose spot for that yet. So I'm still not painting yet, which is kind of frustrating in one way, but in another way, it's been okay. I've had other things to do to keep me busy, but I miss painting, so that's going to have to get resolved fairly soon, I think.
For me, I haven't been able to run as much as I would like to, even though that's not something that's done inside the RV. We are at certain campgrounds. Some of them have, most of them have gravel roads with a lot of holes, a lot of potholes and things like that, so I don't want to run there. I tried running where we're at now in Crossroad, Tennessee, on just some backcountry roads, and almost got run over twice by people who were flying through here. And it's a 35-mile-an-hour zone, and people were doing 55 coming around curves and over the top of hills. People don't pay attention to the speed limits on these backcountry roads, so there's no sidewalk for me to get off on and run. So my running opportunities have been more limited than I would like.
Well, you've also spent a lot of time going on walks with me.
I have. We've
So
gone on a lot of walks.
We're
going to hike a trail again tomorrow. We hiked one earlier this week. So
and then last week we went for a walk on a trail every night after work.
Yep.
So there was no running time because
and sometimes at lunch.
we were walking. Number 3, and this is one that we really learned quite a bit last week. Neighbors will make or break a campground.
We've noticed there's about 3 different types of neighbors. One of them we call the ninja neighbor. These are the people you never hear them come, you never hear them go. They're just there all of a sudden. It doesn't bother me. I like the ninja people because they're quiet,
right?
And they don't, But we do like to try and meet our neighbors, just so we know who they are, and they know who we are. At least say hi, be friendly, that kind of thing. But yeah, so the ninja neighbor is one type of neighbor.
Another type of neighbor is just your normal person. Those that go out and meet you, and they're friendly and they're nice, and they want to pet your dog, and you have to tell them no, he'll bite you. But just normal people. But then there's the third type that we found. Yeah,
we had some neighbors recently that we ended up calling them the hee-haw neighbors. Well, there was nobody there all day, and then at 9:30 at night, the first night we were there, here comes vehicle number 1 hauling a pontoon boat, and they back into the campsite. Here comes vehicle number 2 hauling a bass boat, and they back into the campsite. Now Here comes vehicles 3, 4, and 5. At any given time on this campsite throughout the week, there were up to a dozen people on the site. Things strewn all over the place, bicycles, food,
trailer.
Trash, and the camp hosts didn't really seem to give a rip. So
they didn't care one way or the other.
Yeah,
of course, we didn't complain because that's not. We
did try and be friendly. We offered some apples to the kids, and the grandma was very thankful.
Yeah, but they had the travel trailer. They had 2 boats. They had 4 cars. They had a 10x10 canopy. They had a smaller, like 8x8, just tent sort of thing.
And the travel trailer.
And the travel trailer, all on their lot. That we had our Class C and our car.
And that's all we had on our lot.
That's all we had on ours.
They really packed it in there.
They packed it in there.
Boats and vehicles were within mere inches of each other. And they were very upset when they came back at 9:30 at night and found out the site next to them was now occupied.
Right. And we were on our space. We were well into our space, and they came into our space as well, which, we weren't using that area. We only had 1 car with us, not 4 cars and 2 boats and all of that. So there was room, but it was very odd, and you never knew quite what was going to go on. And they were loud well into the night. But those are the 3 things that we have really learned so far in our adventures of RVing.
Bye.